Liars. All those things right there. Lies, lies, lies. No Richard, no Valerie. I have staged a coup. Instead, you've got April Marie here and Steve trying to keep me out of trouble. Good
Yeah,
morning.
that might be a failing process.
Usually is. I actually already downed my double espresso campana and
Well, that ought to do it.
have not set into my next drink. But the key is I forgot to get any food. So we'll end up with a shot of with 4 shots of espresso and no food. What could go
Hmm.
wrong?
Okay.
Nobody needed the food. It's overrated.
8:30 or so, I'll be taking over.
Exactly. The window's wide open. I'm just gonna jump out, go
Yeah,
for a
really.
run.
Well, you might try anyway. It's pretty thick glass.
I'm actually pretty excited about this. So, for those who don't listen to me a lot, I fill in most frequently these days for Leland. Not enough. I really need to get that man back in his RV and on his way somewhere. But I most frequently fill in for Leland. And when I do so, I open the blinds all the way to this anyway. So I'm feeling a little bad. He said they're not moving up or down. I'm like, ooh, I hope that's not been stuck since the last time I was here.
No, but it was stuck since Friday and Saturday morning when me and my co-host Matt were doing our show. Matt was sitting in this seat here,
Oh,
and the sun was blaring in, and he's wearing a long sleeve, kind of like you are,
yeah.
t-shirt, not heavy, but still,
Still.
and it was black,
Oh, wow.
and he was getting toasted.
He was warm and toasty. Well, it is a beautiful Monday morning. Let's see, 6:08 over here. Think we had a beautiful weekend, to be honest. I was really excited. For those who have not heard me talk about it on air, my family, much, much, much to my like dismay, we got a puppy. We got a little corgi puppy, and she is the sweetest thing I have ever seen. And it was just a beautiful weekend to have her out. She finally got her second round of shots. When we got her, she didn't have all of her shots. We live in a very pet friendly neighborhood. There's dogs everywhere. It's straight out of Central Casting. Like when you go for a walk, everywhere you turn, there's babies or puppies, babies or dogs. And I've been really excited since I got her to take her on these walks, except she needed both rounds of her shots, and now we can take her. So we're getting that phase. But the weather was nice. We've been practicing her on her leash, and I'm feeling good about the rest of this week. The ability to take her for her walk. I'll tell you, we were trying to figure out a name for her. She came to us as Penny. I loved the name Penny. She's a little, basically copper colored corgi. So Penny made sense. But my mother suggested Chloe. And then we had a couple of other names. Someone suggested Biscuit along the way, all these different names for the puppy. And I thought what we were going to do is pick the top 3 or 4 and then vote on them. Instead, what happened was my son, just in the family group chat where there's maybe 10, 12 of us, he just declares, hey guys, we named the dog Chloe. To which there's, oh, that's great, celebration, yay. My mom sends me a
And now you're
text.
stuck with it.
Yeah, my mom sends me a text. She's like, oh, you picked my name. And he just did it unilaterally. My son just decided he liked the name my mom wanted the best. And that's what happened. So you couldn't unring the bell. There was no going back to, oh no, we haven't narrowed it down to what we're gonna narrow it down to. There was just, all right, and here we have it. This is Chloe.
Welcome to it.
And I kind of feel that's very me of my son to do, right? He was like, yeah, you had a process in mind, and I'm just gonna steamroll that one.
Bugger out the whole thing.
Eh,
It's mine.
that's what we're doing here. So Chloe has been a fan favorite, and I think she's gonna, as things warm up, as the weather warms up, she's gonna be very good for all of us.
Well, good.
Yeah, it's gonna be a good thing. My daughter started taking volleyball this past year. We've now done it for a full year. She's doing volleyball lessons, although she does train with a team. It's the lessons she's doing the most of. And what's cool about having a little dog is the little dog goes with us everywhere. So the dog is in the car riding back and forth to the practices and riding to pick up the boys and all the things. And I kind of love that. I grew up with only big dogs like
Oh, yeah.
lab,
So this is a
lab, and
change for you.
yeah. My first dog in college was a Chow, so that having this tiny little thing that is, a purse dog, which she's gonna get a little bigger than that, but having a purse dog is fantastic. Well, so Valerie was supposed to be in for me today. So Valerie messaged me, I don't know, maybe a week, 2 weeks ago, and said, "Hey, can you come in on Monday and fill in for Richard?" And I was like, "Absolutely." I got to double check the sitter because the mornings are hard for me. I got to double check I can get somebody in there. And then yesterday she texted and said, "I'm not feeling well." And there's a little something going around. I think everybody
There is, yeah.
originally, and I said to her, I have a girlfriend who has this. Originally, she thought it was allergies, all this pollen, all the weather change, all that stuff. But it ended up being more of a head cold, flu-ish thing. And so I said to Valerie, I said, I would absolutely, I'll be okay. Steve and I can make it. And but to like on the plus side, she did all the show prep first.
Yeah,
So
she did.
she's like, "Here's what you can talk about tomorrow morning. Go for it." And so I've got you. The good news for those of you who know me, if I had it my way, we'd spend 4 hours talking politics. And I know this is not the morning show. Y'all like to do that. You like to have your morning coffee to go with your raging before you get your outrage.
Yeah, a little bit.
Just a little bit. So we're gonna mix some more April Murray topics in here, in addition to the topics that Valerie already found. So there's a lot there's a lot here. I will intersperse my political notes in here. And it was a big for those of you who follow, for those of you who celebrate Sine Die and follow along with what's going on in Montgomery. They are done. They are done for now, at least. They are done. They are all now this is a terrible analogy, but the roaches have scattered. They've gone back to their districts and they are ready to campaign for reelection. So now is the time, wherever you are in the state, to go back and do your homework. You're going to hear the radio ads, you're going to get the mail pieces, you're going to see the news stories, all the things. But go back and look and say the bills, the subjects that matter to me. If you're a dentist, what was the Dentistry Association trying to do, and where was your representative on that? If you care about the dog bill that they got Bo's Law through, go see, did they co-sponsor that? Where were they on committee? All of the things that matter to you. Second Amendment, did they speak out on this? You name it, this is the time to go back and check their work. And not just for this session, because you do seem to, we get a little bit more conservative members during election years. But in general, where have they been? Let's check this out and get ourselves ready for those elections. So we're going to talk a little bit about some of the things, some of my favorite things that happened during this legislative session, some things that just generally ticked me off. As we talk about the cool things that are going on in the world today. Of course, the space crew is back. The Artemis crew has returned. Did you watch that landing, Steve?
I did, yeah. We were out at good friends over at Soloria Brewing Company.
Oh, nice.
And Friday nights I host a music trivia game over there. And we delayed it a little bit, the start of it, because they were starting to enter the atmosphere and get to the point where they were going to land right about the time we would begin at 7 o'clock. So I actually turned into like a mini version of Walter Cronkite, and I was doing the news coverage of it from on stage, because we didn't have the volume on the TV up.
Right.
So,
you were riffing on the coming back in.
Yeah, exactly.
Did you see the zoom ins on the faces as they re-entered? And there was the one astronaut who just looked like he looked so which of course they were like, it's 5,000 degrees outside that capsule.
Yeah, exactly.
And I was like, yeah, my face would be doing the exact same thing. Like, what in the world? But no, it's fantastic. And being from the Space Coast, being from Titusville, Florida. So if you watched the launch, chances are you saw at least a few versions or views from the Space Coast from the side of Titusville. Now, most of the filming occurred at Kennedy Space Center, and so you could see that's where you saw a lot of the visitors and where they set up. But then you would see the cameras across the water, and that is my hometown. If you follow me on X, APRYLMARIE, I even posted a video from my mom's house, my godmother's house. So I call my mom my godmother's house because she's that close. You literally, it's like straight across the water to the launch pads. I grew up with the Space Center and love it. I love everything about it. I remember the shuttles going up. I remember my house and my windows shaking. I remember when rockets would go up and if one would explode while we were at school, which, by the way, for rockets, Shuttles, not so much, but rockets, that was a common thing. They would, they would kind of seal off, and the teachers would look out the door to make sure there are no rocket pieces, around our campus. But I love everything related to space because I think to me, it's that hope, that idea of what is to come, that especially in this day and age where technology and the race to space and what can we do is so important. I just love everything about it. So we'll talk about a little bit about that. Ivy signing some bills. I haven't been here since Ivy's hospitalization, but I want to talk about that as well. So a lot of things going on to come into this Monday and this week. You guys hold tight. It's April Marie here filling in for Dixon and Vining. Steve keeping me out of trouble. Back in a second. I'm not going to say I have favorites, but I do have a producer who plays way better music than the others. Good morning, everyone. If you are just tuning in looking for Valerie, Dixon and Valerie, they are not in this morning. I don't know where Dixon went, but he looked like he was having a good time according to his Facebook pictures.
Yeah, he had planned on taking today, I want to say today, maybe today and tomorrow,
Okay.
off previously, and I'm not really sure why.
I found video of him dancing
I
online.
know, I saw the same video.
I think I might have watched it more
You
than
sure?
once.
You sure you call that dancing?
He was. It's about the kind of my play in dancing. There was some like loose, I don't know what it was. It was either dancing or he looked like a rock'em sock'em robot, and he was just a little here. But no, he is not here. And then Valerie's getting some rest because she's got whatever's going on around, or whatever this pollen situation is. I told you what, it rained the other day, and I was like, woohoo! My cars aren't yellow. This
Yeah,
is
really.
great.
But the funny thing was, we got that tract of land out there kind of over near Chelsea, kind of in between Chelsea and Pelham. And all the trees were trying to get to the point where the leaves were showing. Then we got that rain, and the next day, boom. It was like every tree said, okay, rain, boom, here are leaves.
Here, yeah.
And like, okay, I went from being able to see my neighbor's house over the little hill right there to the point where I'm back in the Hunger Games.
I was kind of excited for it though. I mean, I decided to do my lawn care work myself. That's a whole thing. But I butchered my bushes. They were like hedges that had overgrown so much. My daughter's been mowing the lawn, but we haven't had anybody do, the edging and the trimming and the this and the that.
Mhm.
And there's a light fixture, and so we inherited a lot of my dad's, lawn care tools, a lot of tools, and then a lot of lawn care tools. I was like,
Right.
I can do this myself. And so I was really worried that I had forever killed them. But we got a little bit of rain, and then now there are like leaves on there, and I was like, yes, I didn't kill them all the way. They remain. So I'm very excited about that. So yes, April Marie here filling in this morning. If you've got the YouTube going, Steve just pushed a magical button and you can see me in all of my 6:30 a.m. glory. I will say, I wasn't every time I come in, they trick me a little bit. Okay, it used to be dim lighting, and so so long as you got a little bit of hair, a little bit of makeup, you were on the good side. I come in this morning and it's full on studio lighting. Like there's a light the size of the sun in this studio.
Yeah.
And I
But
wasn't.
truth be told,
anticipating
for doing what we do on YouTube, on Real Talk 99.5 YouTube TV, these lights are better than using like the overhead neon because
fluorescent.
it just washes everything
that.
out.
Yeah.
So
But now we know.
it works out better. And Leland and Frank, our engineer, they did a very nice job in putting that up.
Oh, you had Leland in here playing lighting man.
Well, yeah, because he did his own studio.
His studio looks great, by the way.
And he's got that TV background, so he knows how to kind of make things look good on camera.
He's got that. Yeah. Well, I mean, you can only do so much with Dixon, but the rest of us will be okay.
Yeah. Same could be said for Andrew, but
I was gonna say,
and then I look at myself on like Saturday mornings, and I'm like,
I'm gonna get in trouble. I come in insulting Skippy and Richard.
well, okay. So Saturday night, Alabama Broadcasters Association award ceremony. So everybody in the state,
I'm so excited
that's a
for
member,
this.
that is a member of the Alabama Broadcasters Association is there, and we're partners with ABC 3340. So I saw the morning team, Stony Sharp, Sarah Snyder, they came in. So I went over and introduced myself because we've emailed back and forth, obviously, because, I may have a technical problem on my end or they may have one on theirs and they'll alert me. But they send me the stuff for us and for our sister stations, Hot and Jocks. So I figured, yay, let's put a face to the name. So I walked over there and talked to them for a little while. Really, really cool. Had the chance to talk to other people. Came across John Papke, used to be on NBC 13. Now he's
Nice.
working for AlDOT. So,
That's a big change.
It is a big change. But, had a good time. It was a lot of fun. We'll talk a little bit more about it later. We as a company won 3 Abby Awards. So we'll talk about that a little bit later on.
Love that. Okay. So we are going to talk about that, and we're going to celebrate Steve because there is reason to celebrate. I'm going to jump into some of today's stories here. Um, like I said earlier, the Artemis crew touched down. I loved this. What I loved about this, about the is just my kids getting to really experience this. This was probably the first time that I know the first time that my kids, now my with their ages, were able to really experience both the launch and the touchdown and get to know what they were doing. NASA did a phenomenal job of, keeping up with the social media accounts and making it interactive. And they had that little stuffed animal with them, and it was just precious. Um, there was a video that went viral. I don't know if you saw this, of Secretary Sean Duffy's daughter. His wife is a reporter, works for Fox News, and then Duffy is obviously Department of Transportation. So the daughter got to go to the launch where there was like a photo op.
Oh, cool.
And one of the little NASA astronauts, one of the astronauts, they went to take a picture of her. She gives him a hug, and he's like, "All right, this is it. You're the backup crew." And he like acts like he's gonna take her out. And there was just something heartwarming about the excitement and the children. And I don't know if you saw the boy before that who went viral for saying how freaking fantastic it was that we were going to the moon. And
Nice.
there's something very cool about getting national enthusiasm for something we're doing.
Yeah.
And
I
it's
mean, the thing about it is, if you think about it, we love I remember the beginnings of the space shuttle program,
yeah,
and we got enthralled by it, and then we kind of got a little bored with it, and then unfortunately the Challenger explosion happened.
right.
We got reinterested in it for a little while, and then all of the
And then
different things they kind of became
funding
routine.
and retirement, and yeah.
Yeah, but okay, we're sending up another space shuttle. They're doing some sort of weird science experiment with mice or ants or whatever it is. It's like, I don't care. We needed something like this, something big
Right.
to actually bring back the imagination, and of course the conspiracy theorists. I mean,
So
I
we can
saw another
relentlessly
one.
mock
I saw
together.
another one Saturday
Oh,
morning.
no,
I was
did
going
you?
through, and they were like, "Congratulations! Yeah, I believe we went. I believe they went around the moon. I don't believe we ever landed on it. How much proof do you need?"
It's so frustrating. It's so frustrating. But this is one of those opportunities, like I said earlier, regardless of what you believe politically, this is a cool thing for our nation to rally around, a cool group for our nation to rally around, and something for us to be proud of. We haven't led the way in a long time, and we're getting our edge back. And I love that. So we'll talk a little bit more about this as we come back, some local news, and see where we are in the world. You guys hold tight for that. It's April Marie filling in for Richard and Valerie. Well, good morning, everyone. April Marie here, filling in for both Richard and Valerie. Richard's out. Hopefully, he's in. Hopefully, both of them are sleeping in. That's what I would hope on a Monday morning at 6:30 that they're both sleeping in. Let's see. We've got. It's actually 6:37. It's going to be a beautiful day. The high today, 81. I love these warm days. Although I say that, I'm a little less loving of the warm days these days because the air condition is out in my Suburban, and the Suburban is my everyday vehicle. I now need to take the truck and the car. I know that sounds ridiculous, but I brought my dad's truck home, so bear with me. But the Suburban has been my main car for since before my middle son was born. So it's a 2015, and I got it I got it before 2017. We have officially started car shopping.
Ah,
And by officially started car shopping, I mean I went and test drove one. I went and test drove a Ford Expedition. And I thought I'd had a Ford Explorer back in college and it had been a minute. And I'm not kidding. I was that woman. I literally get to the dealership. I open up the trunk and I was like, no, this is not happening. Like, I need to be able to put a life back here, because there are days where, now we've got the dog stuff. So we got
oh yeah,
got-
that means you need something even bigger.
we got a basket of dog stuff. We've got a basket of just first aid stuff and garbage bags and miscellaneous stuff. We've got sports stuff that stays back there, chairs for during soccer season. It's a process. So I opened up the trunk and I was like, whoop, that's a no-go. No, we will. So and it's funny because I had looked and I was like, I need something. We call the Suburban the tank. I
Sure.
was like, I need something tank-like. And so we had for spring break, rented a Jeep Wagoneer, and that thing was huge, and I loved it, but it didn't have the captain's chairs. And so that
Yeah.
became like, it's not a must-have, but I would really like it.
Well, and my problem with that, because we had some friends that came down from Iowa
Mm.
over Christmas time, and that's what they ended up getting.
Oh.
Because he flies a lot, and he's in all those weird little programs, so he gets upgrades all the time. So they get this loaded Jeep Grand Wagoneer.
So great.
It's big, it's huge, rides harder than my dad's old 1989 Ford F-250.
Really?
I
See,
did not like the ride.
Yeah.
I liked how it was appointed inside and everything. It was
Right.
nice, but the ride I didn't care
Maybe
for.
I just didn't notice because I drove back and forth to and from North Carolina in it, and with the kids and the puppy, just having everything made
Yeah,
me
you
brought
were
me
not paying
joy.
attention
I
to
was
the
yeah, I was not paying enough detail to the right, but I was like, oh, this is glorious because we wouldn't ordinarily take mine for everything. I mean, we've driven it back and forth to Florida. This is how it has almost 200,000 miles on
sure.
it. But yeah, the Suburban is killing me right now. So I looked at this and I was like 81. I'm looking down at the driveway. I'm like at the parking lot. I'm like, that's gonna be fun to get into later. But it is gonna be a beautiful day. You guys watch out for that. Literally, it's not cloudy, it's not raining. It's just gonna be a lovely Monday.
Well, and if you decide not to buy a new car, then our good friend on the Saturday morning show, Jim Moore, who has Moore Brothers Automotive, he might be able to help you out with the AC situation.
Oh yeah. So that's the thing is, at what point? What's the tipping point? I always say I drive my vehicles till I can't anymore, right?
Oh, sure, yeah.
And then you hit the tipping point of, okay, it's worth $6,000. It's going to cost $3,000 to fix, and you're going, where am I on this? Where's the math? So maybe I call your guy and he tells me if it really is that
Yeah.
expensive. of
Talk
a
to Jim
fix.
Moore down at Moore Brothers, see what he can do for you.
I just got my brake pads replaced. Actually, JD from Redland Rifle. I was talking to him on the phone, and I had gotten all 4 brake pads replaced. And I was like, this is awesome. This is what this is supposed to feel like.
I can stop again.
I could stop again. And he was like, this is why women shouldn't have big vehicles. He's like, he's like, you've been driving around this tank with no brakes and you didn't notice? And I just taken it in.
Because the problem is that sometimes things happen so gradually you don't really notice
That's
it.
what it was. It wasn't.
So you have to have somebody actually tell you.
They were like, you need all 4. And then once it's done, then I was like,
Oh yeah, it's fantastic.
this
Like
is
a
what
brand new
this-
car again.
this is what it's supposed to feel like again. I feel like that would be the thing with the air condition. If I get the air condition fixed, then I'm never getting rid of that vehicle. But I did.
Well, Again, like you said, drive it till the wheels fall off.
Over the weekend, I went and test drove one, and then drove around with no AC, and it was a good time had by no one, no one, no one wants to test. The only person more miserable than me during the test drive was the guy from the dealership who, from go, knew I wasn't interested because I've got the old Suburban, but it's also got all the bells and whistles, and by
Oh
bells
yeah.
and whistles I mean the seat warms and it's got a little hidden compartment, whatever. And it was the base model Expedition I was driving,
Which means you don't have all
which
that stuff. Yeah.
didn't have all the stuff. And I was like, oh, I've become spoiled. It's really hard to drive a car into a dealership that's falling apart at the seams and then be like, I want that car. For anybody who watched Gilmore Girls, I know what she feels like. In Gilmore Girls, her Jeep felt like broke down, and she wanted to keep the same Jeep. She wanted, even though it didn't make sense, so they bought one for parts so that she could keep her old one because it needed so much work it didn't make sense. But she was like, I like that the seat is this way. I like that there's marks from the kids that way. There, all the things.
Sometimes you're just gonna have to give it up.
So yeah, I know. Sometimes you do.
Well, and don't get me wrong. I love this car that I've got. It's 2019 GMC Terrain. It's almost as low as the only thing that's not on this car that is still an option was a sunroof.
Right.
But I bought it used, so I didn't have a choice. But it's getting to the point now where things are getting so expensive. I'm starting to think maybe the next car that I get, I'm gonna go back to like the early to mid 70s.
Oh yeah. Well, so when Barber passed away of Barber Motorsports, I was doing the story on him. George Barber passed away.
Yeah.
And one of the things he talked about was, and this, it stopped me in my track because I'm a boy mom, right? So I've got these two just wonderful little boys. And in my mind, I'm always thinking to myself, what are we doing with kids in general, right? Or am I teaching my daughter what it's going to take to survive in this world, minus all of the feminist propaganda that's really messed us up, but to understand her role as a young woman, as a future wife, future mother. And do not get me started, but I truly believe that is what God wants for us. Am I teaching my boys what it's going to take to be a protector and a provider? Am I teaching them, are they going to know how to change a tire, how to check an oil? Are they going to know how to do all of these things? And in the interview with George Barber, he was like, we have like souped up cars so much that you don't have grandpas teaching their kids to do these things because they can't. Because now you need to run all these diagnostic tests on machines, and you can't just lift the hood and tinker with things because there's been so much electronic stuff. He was specifically talking about motorcycles in that conversation, but he got his start in cars.
Cars are the same way.
Working with, his family's milk vehicles, like the milk vans. And that, for whatever reason, in studying him and his amazing life, from philanthropy to racing to growing this business, that stuck out at me. That was one of those things where I thought, yeah, we need to be able to tinker, which is part of the reason I kept my dad's car, because I feel like that's the kind of car where it's even the Suburban, you've got some mechanical stuff, but my dad's car, there's no backup camera to go out, right? There's
the things you get used to.
You can crank roll the ones that you're going to be fine, okay? And so, but I really, it's been a thing with these cars. All right, so I was trying to get into the headlines. I talked myself right into a break, but I'm going to get into at least a couple of these.
And I'm going to throw something out to you here because Michael texted in on the text line 545-9950.
Yeah.
So you can text or you can call, obviously. Says, hi, April. Any late-breaking word on the alleged secret taping scandal in Montgomery?
Ooh, goodness gracious. Okay, so let's talk about that. So here's the thing is, if you weren't following along this legislative session, there was a tape, obviously, a tape of Speaker Ledbetter in a closed-door caucus meeting. I have very strong, very, very strong, and contrary to what a lot of people would think my feelings are, very strong feelings on recordings or leaks or whatever from caucus meetings. There are a number of people who have put those who were doing the recordings and leaking and possibly responsible, all of those things, on a hero status. And I don't think we should do that, guys. I feel strongly it will be very hard for you to find someone who's less about transparency, open records, getting things out from behind the smoke-filled rooms, putting them in public. But a caucus meeting is different. A caucus meeting is like a family dinner after someone in your family has messed up, okay? A caucus meeting is like a family dinner where you've got big news to share with them. And you want everybody to be able to say their piece. You want the brothers to hash it out and have it out. Maybe mom and dad are fighting. Maybe someone's done something a little cray. Maybe someone's gotten sick. That's what caucus meetings are. These are your ability to say what you're thinking, to talk about things off the record, to share freely. There is a time and a place, whether you stand in front of a mic before you go on the House floor, before committee, whatever it is. Caucus meetings are a part of what it takes to make a team build that trust, okay? It's not every man for himself. It's not who's going to get the best headline. It's not who's going to shame who. So I feel very strongly that we should not be taping our caucus meetings, that we should have members who feel like they're a part of a family and they can have these conversations with one another, tough conversations with one another. You know, Steve and I are in a caucus meeting and I'm like, that bill you dropped is BS. That thing you did was this. I love what you're doing here, hate what you're doing here, da 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 da. But speak freely, because when you're in politics, you're on. You're thinking about getting elected. You're thinking about passing your bills. You're thinking about wheeling and dealing. Caucus meetings are kind of like guard down, gloves on. We're gonna have this out. So earlier in the caucus, a recording was leaked of Ledbetter, and he was essentially saying, like, he didn't care what happened on the party politics because his priority as the person in charge of the House of Representatives, the Alabama House of Representatives, was to keep his caucus together, okay? That doesn't mean what it sounded like it meant on the tape. I don't care at all about the party. He was like, my priority is my team and you guys in this room, right? And so that taken out of context made him sound like a total clown. But that wasn't the conversation, the heated conversation that was going on and the priorities that he was talking about them being successful as a team. So we don't know who released that first tape. The second thing that happened was an accusation that Arnold Mooney was taping. And Arnold Mooney said, I didn't do this. Now, Arnold Mooney is from Shelby County. Many people who listen to this program, this channel, know him. And he said he denied it. Ultimately, what happened after his denial was an image surfaced that showed Arnold Mooney with his camera essentially on his belly, which is what they were saying, outward facing, recording the room. It was taking a photograph. He had then came back and said, I was taking photographs, but I wasn't recording. We know people have recorded, not just the recording that was released. There's talk and hubbub about there being other audio that hasn't been published by the media. I think that this is this is one of those circumstances where it helps to know a little bit of the inside baseball to understand why they need the caucus meetings they need. Two, I think it's important for us to talk to our elected officials about what they think of this. You know, if Arnold Mooney is representing you, have a conversation about the accusations. If someone else is representing you in the state house, I want you to talk to them about how they feel about this. This is an interesting situation because it is very inside baseball. We know, I say we know as media, we know as those who are paying attention that there's more. More recordings, more to these stories, but nothing else besides those things have come out. But if you follow 1819 News, keep an eye out there, and as things break, we have been posting about them. All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, I may even get into some of these headlines that Valerie wrote for me. You guys stay tight. It's April Marie here with Steve this morning. Well, good morning, everyone. April Marie here. Do you like my cup, Steve? Um,
Is it big enough?
I was, I was telling my children I did not use that this weekend, even though I stole it at the end of the week last week. But
You stole it.
I did steal it. So every
Well, at least
time
you're admitting it now on camera and on the radio
on
for all the world to
camera,
hear.
I went to the 1819 offices, and every time I go to the 1819 offices, I have to grab a little swag. So there, we have memberships basically to 1819, and so you can you can get stickers and you can get T-shirts and you can get mugs, and these are the new mugs. And so
Oh,
when
okay.
the last time I went in to get swag, these weren't there, and they certainly my favorite color red, which if you don't know me, but like Republican red is my absolute favorite color. As a matter of fact, as I said earlier, I might be shopping for a new vehicle. I am sort of shopping for a new vehicle. I currently have two red vehicles, and then I have my Suburban, which is a dark silver, dark gray. Fast food people will put it in as black. It's not. It's just a dark gray. And so if I could have my way, I'd have a third red vehicle because it's my favorite. It makes me happy. But yes, I'm showing this on air or on the camera for those of you tuned into the YouTube because I feel like if I stole it, I should promote it. So you too can go get yourself a very pretty mug, and now I feel okay about my decision to pilfer that from the office supply stock. All right, so we've talked a little bit about Steve won an award, so we'll talk more about that at the 9 o'clock hour. Yay, Steve! Dixon and Vining are out today. I have a whole 3 pages of headlines, and I've just been over here talking about all things life. There is a sad headline coming out today, and I've been following the story over the weekend. But if you haven't seen it, there was a family involved in a car accident, and the mother, two children were killed in the crash. There are two surviving siblings. They're fighting for their lives in the hospital. This is an Alabama family. On Saturday, 33-year-old Ashley Haygood and her four children, 13-year-old Bryant, 7-year-old twins, Briley and Brinley, 10-year-old Bentley, were in an SUV that was hit on the side by a Ford F-150. That's a big vehicle. The oldest died at the scene, along with one of the two twins. And the images will break your heart, you guys. The images will break your heart. Two of the children are still, as I said, in the hospital. Bentley and Brinley, the other twin sister, were flown to UAB in critical condition. As of Sunday afternoon, Bentley was taken off the ventilator to see if he could breathe on his own. He was able to, so they're working on him. He has 2 fractures in his back, a severe concussion. If you are the praying type, pray for this family. Pray for all that know them and love them. Pray for their classmates, for these little ones who are going to go to school today and not have loved ones there, children that mean the world to them. It is heartbreaking, the loss of any child, and these children have lost their mother. So again, I want to encourage you. This is an Alabama family, and take the time, take that moment, as you drive into work today, drive carefully. Put the phones down. If you want to call and scream at me, wait till you get where you're going. Just pray for this beautiful family. Back in just a minute with more on 99.5